Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 15th, 2024 meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners. If you would stand with us, please, I'll ask our Commission Chaplain, Romel McMurray, to lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Let us pray. Most gracious and all-wise God, we want to say thank you. We know that you are the creator of the heavens and the earth. Thank you for your many and wonderful and abundant blessings. It's because of your grace and your mercy that we are still here today. Lord, I stand here to pray over and for our leaders and those in high places within our cities, counties, state, and our country. But I also stand here to pray over our land. Lord, teach us to pray daily and not to just pray when it's convenient, but to pray in the seasons that we may be in. Because the more we pray, we know the more power that we have. As leaders, let us be reminded to seek the path and the way that you want us to go and to lead your people and not by our own agendas. Provide us with the guidance and the wisdom to do your will. Right now, I ask that you instill peace, unity, and compromise at all levels of the government, from the local all the way to the oval. The time of division and chaos amongst the people in our land has got to cease. True leaders don't create separation, but true leaders bring people together. Allow us to be a beacon of light and hope to those around us. Help us to be a blessing to those in our midst. And when they see us being, doing, and living like you, they will follow our lead. Help us to build our brothers and sisters in Christ from this moment forward. Let us intervene for all people around us, whether it's in our schools, work, home, neighborhoods, malls, restaurants, and yes, even in our homes. Being a Christian is not a part-time job, it is a full-time job. Not only do I stand here this evening to pray for our leaders, but I pray for our wisdom, our strength, and for our families. As I close, I pray for our leaders to rise up, to stand up, and to show up, and to empower all the people around the world and to lead peaceful, respectful, and honest lives that's according to your word that dignifies the lives every way. We are reminded to not rely on ourselves, but we should rely on you. We thank you for our military, our law enforcement, and to many others that protect and serve us all. I ask that you heal the bodies of those that are sick and shut in and remind them that you are the truth, the way, and the light, and that it's not over until you say it's over. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 3 white stars on a field of blue, God keep them strong and ever true. It is with pride and love that we salute the flag of Tennessee.
Thank you. You may be seated. This time I'll call on our Rutherford County Clerk, Lisa Crowell, to call the roll. Lisa?
Commissioner Oliver?
Present.
Fiercy?
Here.
Rather?
Here.
Commissioner P?
Here.
Commissioner Davison?
Here.
Commissioner Beverly?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Present. Here.
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here.
Commissioner Paul Johnson? Here. Commissioner Irvin? Here. Commissioner Harris? Here. Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Chairman Phillips?
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Here.
Commissioner McMurray?
Here.
Commissioner Gooch? Commissioner Sereno?
Yeah.
We have a quorum, 21 present.
Thank you, Lisa. Item D, the reading and approval of our June meeting minutes. I'll call on our Chairman Pro Tem, Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have reviewed those minutes and find them to be in order. At this time, I move that we dispense with the reading and approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion to approve our June meeting minutes and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is a celebration. 2024 Eagleville baseball team, and I'll call on the chairman from the Eagleville area, Pettis Reed. Pettis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I ask that the 2024 Eagleville High School baseball team come forward this time with their coaches. We'll let you come up and just line right up here behind me. Have y'all seen as much gold? And I'm up here with silver, so you know, we've got it all right here. With this group coming up here, I thought it was only appropriate that I don't know how many commissioners has that as their tone on their phone whenever you get a phone call, but I do. And it's for a purpose. It's the fact that, you know, when I was at Rockville, everybody played basketball, but I didn't. And there's one reason. If you'll look at this team right here and how tall they are, and at basketball, I was short, and I was also a little bit on the heavy side, so I wasn't fast either. But I was thankful when Rockville finally had a baseball team, and I played third, and I took up a lot of space, Coach. So I was able to play that, and baseball has always been my sport, and I was glad to see that. And I had the opportunity to see this team win the state tournament 3 times. And it's something we should be proud of. So I have a resolution of recognition for the 2024 Eagleville High School boys baseball team. Whereas 3 years ago in the month of August, the Rutherford County Commission recognized the high school baseball team from the western horizon of Rutherford County for winning the first ever state championship with Eagleville High School had ever won in the school's history. Once again, an Eagleville High School baseball team comes before the commission for winning yet another state championship and taking home another TSSAA honor for the 3rd year in a row. And whereas this young championship entered the championship game after winning their past 6 pro season games by the TSSAA Mercy Rule, which means 10 runs after 5 innings, and outscored 3 state tournament opponents 44-4. And whereas the Eagleville boys baseball team members are Cason Lane, Braden Baker, Maddox Bolden, Brody McLeamore, Josh Jeffcourt, Brady Burns, Marshall Spann, Colt Bassham, Elijah Watkins, Cryson Burks, Donovan Brew, Atticus Severa, Tucker McLary, Brody Gleason, Nathan Brown, Jacob Sweeney, Mason Spears, Carson Knowles, Alex Bryant, and whereas this has been another season to remember in the Eagleville community, and special recognition is due to Coach Brandon Bassam, assistants Todd Williamson, Marty McLary, trainer Kevin Wolf, managers Hunter Sweeney, Landon Craddock, and along with Principal Tim Pettigo and the school staff for their dedication and commitment which made this championship possible, as well as an encouraging good sportsmanship and inspired team play. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that we extend this resolution of recognition to the 2024 Eagleville High School boys baseball team, coaches, and fans for their successful team on achieving the TSSAA Division 1A honor of state championship for 2024. Resolved this 15th day of August 2024. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, stand up and clap, and please say aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Don't go away. Stay right there. I got something special for the coach here. You know, as I said, I have been to 3 of these championships with him, but I've also been next to the dugout watching him work with these young men. And it takes something special to be the head coach of these teams and working with these individuals. I've stood there at sometimes and watching him as he works at these, and any of you that's ever been on a sporting team, you know that coach has a look that if you're out there and something's not exactly right and he gives you that look, it's somewhat like what your mother does when you're not performing right at church. And it sort of straightens you out. Well, at Eagleville, it's a special look, and I call it the look of the eagle. And this is a man that has that look of the eagle that gets performance out of these young men that will change their lives. So, Coach, I happened to be in Eagleville the other day, and I have a good friend down there that runs an antique store. And in that antique store, Charles Ralston down there, I go down there a lot of Sundays just to see what he's got new. He has also the history of Eagleville within that store. But I found something that I thought of you as that coach. And I have it down here. I want to bring it out. And I had it specially fixed for you. It said, Head Eagle, Coach Brandon Bassham. And it's a carving of an eagle. And it gives the look of that eagle. And Coach, I wanted to give it to you. Thank you, guys. You want to say something?
Well, thank Mr. Pettis for my eagle and all the support through the years. And, no matter what kind of look I have or what I do, this has to be a special group, and it really is, to accomplish what they have for 3 years in a row. And as I said at the school board meeting months ago, no matter how many of these games these guys have played in the last 3 years, whether it's 118 or 100 or 50 or 20 or 10, they've all accepted the role and taken it, and they've been really good at it. Probably one of my favorite stories about this team, I know I don't want to take too much of your time, but think about this. We play the state championship on the last day of school, the 2-hour day. Every teacher, every student's ready to get out of there. Most of them probably don't even want to be there or show up that day. This team gets here early, hits batting practice, goes to MTSU and plays, wins. Every one of them get on the bus. We ride to Jonathan's and have lunch. We ride back. I go to my office for just a few minutes when we get back to kind of get my thoughts together, my emotions together. Where do I go from here? I don't want 2025 to creep in my mind at all. So by the time that happens, I get ready to leave. There's still 8 of these guys in the locker room playing ping pong. And there's 3 seniors walking the field, just walking and talking. So if you don't know how close this group is, with the chemistry on this team and how special it is, I think that's a great definition of truly how close this team is. And I said this too, they probably handled the pressure this year better than I did. I may have learned more from this team this time than they learned from me. But again, thank you for having us. Thank you, Mr. Pettis. I appreciate you letting us be just a few minutes for your meeting tonight. Thank you.
Item F on our agenda, recognition of ROB Billboard contest winner. I'll call on our Opioid Board Chairman, also the Chairman of our Steering Committee, Commissioner Craig Harris.
Is Mr. and Mrs. Robinson here? Come on in. Come on up. Commissioners, we got with Rutherford County Schools, and we had a contest to where the students would create a billboard for us to put up throughout the county contest. Now, what we're doing is we're giving a $500 scholarship. So we had, I think, 22 entries. And one of the things that I'm proud of, and we are starting to make a difference with our youth. And we're starting to get our youth to look and see this problem and to address these problems and to face it. And this young lady, Tamika Robinson, she's a 2024 graduate of Rockville High School, and she will be attending Southern Maine Community College on August 26th. So this is her billboard that she created, that we voted on, and this will be going up throughout the county. So, Mr. Robinson, thank you. Thank you. And we'll be having a $500 check sent out to Southern Maine, and we appreciate your daughter, and we appreciate you, and this county commission is behind you 100%.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, item G, MTSU Chipper Smith recognizes the opioid litigation principles from Johns Hopkins. Smith.
Good evening. How y'all doing tonight? Awesome, awesome. Well, my name's Chipper Smith, and I represent Middle Tennessee State University. And if you didn't know, last summer, the Rutherford Opioid Board took a chance and partnered in an agreement with Middle Tennessee State University to create an office on campus focused solely on substance use and addressing addiction. And part of that agreement was to help Rutherford County create a process to invest with their opioid abatement funding, but also to be a light to other counties across Middle Tennessee and to show an example of what could be done. And throughout over the past year, all the work we've done has been documented, and now we're being recognized by the Johns Hopkins University's Opioid Litigation Principles team. Essentially what this is a group from Johns Hopkins put together 5 principles. They said, we're telling states, we're telling counties, you're going to have all this money coming in. What can you do with this money? The 5 principles are: spend money to save lives, use evidence to guide spending, invest in youth prevention, focus on racial equity, and develop a fair and transparent process for deciding where to spend this funding. And so we reached out to them and said, you know, take a look at what we're doing in Rutherford County, see if you think it's worth recognizing. And they recognize 2 counties in the United States every quarter, and they're recognizing Rutherford County for this upcoming quarter. And so we're really excited about that and the collaboration that's taken place with that. We're the first county in Middle Tennessee to receive this award, and so that's a huge deal, the 3rd in Tennessee, which also shows that Tennessee is really paving the way across the nation when it comes to developing a fair and a transparent process for investing this money, not using it to supplant existing things, but thinking of new ideas, going outside the box, and really partnering with the community. And so I'm excited about it. It's going to be a big deal. We'll have the press release and everything, but just coming to share a little bit about that tonight. Thank you.
Rob,
Commissioner Harris.
thank you, sir. Well, you know, I get a lot of the accolades on this, but I'm nothing without my team, and I ran on this 8 years ago. I was trying to get somebody just to listen to this problem. And I kept hitting door after door after door. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be the guy, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to be a commissioner, and I'm going to make this happen. So I ran for commissioner, and I won. And first thing I did was I wanted to put together a task force. In that task force, we battled all the things and tried to help Rutherford County the best we could. And then we took a chance, and I don't tell the story too often, but when the cigarette settlement happened, people were using that money for everything but helping. And we had a class action lawsuit, and I just felt like I didn't want us to be told how to spend money or be told you spend it any way you want. So we went out and did our own class action lawsuit. And of course, we settled, and what part of the settlement was that we had to go with the state of Tennessee. But in return, we got to do 15% of whatever we want to do, and we got 15% more to do on guidelines. So we've gotten about $3.2 million. Currently, we have given out over $1 million, I believe. I don't know, Michael, a little less. And what we've done is we brought the community together. If you give people the resources and the help that they need, we can make a difference. Now, Sheriff's not up here, but Sheriff, we had given some money to Sheriff for task force and to new officers, and their numbers are unbelievable and come in. But It doesn't work without a team. It doesn't work without y'all. Y'all sit there and you don't realize that you have made a difference, because our committee system is set up to where we vote on this money to give it. Budget approves it, and all y'all approve it to be paid. So y'all are part of this just like everybody else is. And so I want to introduce my team and Chairman P., Chipper Smith, Alyssa, which is absolutely the backbone of this entire thing. She is the MVP all day long. Trisha Breeden, Pettis Reed, and Michael Smith. And I want to share this with them because they've done so much hard work. They have my passion, and they don't agree with me all the time. We've had some arguments, but we always have our eye on the ball, always, and we think outside the box. And that's why we're getting this award, because we don't just throw money out there. We vet you. We have turned down more than we have given, and we make sure that the people that get these loans or grants, it's not recurring. We don't believe in recurring on this board. We believe that you earned every year what you get. So if you get an award, you got to come back and apply for it the next year. And then MTSU and our partnership vets them and lets us know if they're spending that money the way that they said they were going to spend it. So I want to thank everyone up here. I want to tell you they represent this county well. This is a big award. This is big when Rutherford County can be one of two entire country. So we're doing the right thing. We still got a long ways to go. Our deaths are down 16% since 21, and we're starting to make a difference. So I want to thank everybody. I thank all y'all, and we accept this award. Thank you very much.
Next, we have item H. It's a proclamation from Walter Hill School, and it's very special. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 years of academic excellence, and I'll call on the commissioner for that area, Commissioner Steve Piercy.
Good evening. If you would, Ms. Heath, would you join me here at the podium? It's not every day you get to acknowledge a 100-year-old school. Okay. I'm good. This school was there before paved roads, before red lights, before landfill. It's been there basically 100 years, correct? It has generation and generation and generations of families that have went through this school. Their children went, their grandchildren have gone. It's just an amazing thing to be here to acknowledge 100 years of education at one location. And basically, it's always been at that one spot, too, hasn't it? It's never been moved. It's been built onto. When I was younger, played grammar school ball in the old gymnasium. I'll never forget how it was set up. If you done a layup, you better be ready to stop because the wall was right behind the goal. You was going to hit the goal. But anyway, that's enough. Let me go ahead and read this. This is a proclamation for the Walter Hill School celebrating 100 years of academic excellence. Whereas the Walter Hill School has stood as a beacon as an academic excellence in the heart of Tennessee for a century, fostering the tradition of education achievement. And whereas since the inception in 1924, Walter Hill School has timelessly dedicated itself to providing nurturing environment where students can thrive and reach their full potential. And whereas generations of students, teachers, administrators, and staff has contributed to the richness of knowledge, wisdom, character that defines the Walter Hill School. And whereas the enduring commitment of the Walter Hill School community to the pursuit of knowledge and innovation, academic excellence has left an indelible mark on the educational landscape of Tennessee. Whereas the steadfast dedication of Walter Hill School to the intellectual, emotional, and social growth of students has prepared countless individuals to become responsible citizens and leaders in their community. And whereas the unwavering support of parents, guardians, alumni, and friends have been instrumental in sustaining the mission and vision of the Walter Hill School throughout its history. And whereas the resilience and adaptability demonstrated by Walter Hill School in the face of challenges and changes over the past century, its commitment to continuous improvement and growth. And whereas the Tennessee Department of Education recognizes and celebrates the profound impact that Walter Hill School has had on the lives of countless students, families, educators, and its distinguished history. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to hereby proclaim August the 10th as Walter Hill School Day in the Rutherford County, Tennessee, in honor of its 100th year of unwavering dedication to academic excellence, community engagement, and the pursuit of lifelong learning. Resolved this 15th day of August, 2024. Chairman, I so move.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, stand and clap.
And we're going to hand this to you to hang in your school.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate it.
Would you like to speak?
I just want to say thank you. Walter Hill is a very special place to any of those who have been there or know it, have been a part of it. It is still that just home-feeling community, and I just thank you for recognizing us and making this today special. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Item I is public comments. We've had two individuals sign up. Sam Toon, and his topic is public safety buildings in the county. Mr. Toon, if you would please come up. Remind you, you have 3 minutes to make your comments.
Hopefully it won't take 3 minutes, but Commissioners, I want to thank each one of y'all for my 3 minutes and thank y'all for the unappreciated work that y'all do. I know it's hard work. I want to share a personal story with y'all. My personal story is irrelevant other than the point you hear it directly from me, not from somebody else. June the 24th, my doctor decided that I needed a stress test. So they injected me, and I took my stress test here at the hospital, and they said I passed it. Well, later that afternoon, I had some type of reaction to the chemical that they used at the stress test. I'll get me back up a minute. I live in Milton. My wife and I, Greta, we've got to go to farm out on Halls Hill Pike, Commissioner Pierce's district. So anyway, we get through with our stress test. We had some business in Lebanon that day. So we go to Lebanon, coming back Gainesville Pike, and I tell Greta that I don't want to go home. I said, take me to the hospital. My eyes were wide open and I could not see. I was breathing and I could not breathe. It was like I was underwater and couldn't swim to the top. So I didn't know where I was going, didn't know what I was in store for. Greta was smart enough to call 911, which they dispatched straight to the public safety building there in Las Casas. So Greta's on the phone talking to the dispatcher there at the safety building, and she's telling them that we're on the way. Well, they tell her, you stop immediately. Greta says, no, we're on the way. They said, no, stop, pull on the side of the road, and stop immediately. We did. We were completely surrounded by paramedics, fire engines, ambulances. Keep in mind, I've never been to the emergency room, never even looked inside of an ambulance myself, been in one. They loaded me up and carried me to the hospital. My heart rate was 60, 160, 60, 160, 180. Blood pressure was crazy. My story in the next 58 seconds is the importance of these safety buildings that y'all have supported in the county. It is utmost important for us in rural county. I'm thinking it's 4:30 in the afternoon, and how in the hell are we going to get to the hospital? We got a truck and a trailer and trying to get to the hospital, and I can't breathe. But anyway, they came out from the safety building and loaded me up in an ambulance, took me straight to the hospital, and of course here I am today. My whole point in saying this is the funding, and I know every department is underfunded and understaffed, but it is us in the rural part of the county and all these safety buildings that are being built. It is utmost important that y'all keep funding and helping us out in the county, not in the city. I don't know how we would have got to the hospital at 4:30 in the afternoon, but it was a tough thing on me. 15 seconds. While we're talking about safety, we had another fatality on Highway 96 last weekend, not too far from the mayor's home. We were told that the fatality was running 110 miles an hour. I know that's a state highway, but Sheriff, if it's anything we can do, working with different agencies to give them a slow down out there. But I just want to emphasize the importance, the training, the funding of these safety buildings for us in rural Rutherford County. And I sure appreciate y'all's time and appreciate the work y'all do.
Thank you, Mr. Toon. Next is Susan Allen. Her topic is our standing committee process. Ms. Allen.
Good evening. Good to see you all again. I hope you had a good July without any meetings, and we're back together. The Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance, I'm sorry, Susan Allen. I live on Nelson Lane in Murfreesboro. The Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance has been discussing the issues surrounding the signing of the contract with Waste Management. This process to secure a vendor started with a discussion in the Public Works Committee many months ago, which was then sent to purchasing, where the mayor was directed to start the process for an RFP for hauling away the transfer station trash. It's our understanding that the bid should have come back to purchasing and opened there, as was done at last Tuesday's purchasing committee meeting. We're unsure if it should also have been brought back to Public Works to look at. We know how much work the members of Public Work had to put into the many-year process to find an alternate way to dispose of county trash. We do wonder if the county attorney was involved in any of the process, since the legal services agreement, scope of services, says the county attorney is to, quote, review and study legal documents as requested and is responsible for the preparation and drafting of contracts and contract negotiations, end quote. We would like to understand why the RFP was not his responsibility, rather than paying an extra fee for an outside firm that did not understand the county purchasing process. What is clear is that commissioners have been in the dark about many parts of the process. We hope you'll agree that establishing a system of keeping up with unfinished business such as this is way past due. We'd like to suggest that items requested in a meeting be listed in the meeting your standing committee minutes as action items, and that they be followed up in the next meeting agenda as unfinished business. It would be helpful to you and the public if standing committee monthly reports to the commission also include these items. This would help committee chairs and members keep track of the open tasks that sometimes span months to get accomplished, but they need to be taken care of by the committee. It would remove the burden of members having to remember, each one of you by yourselves, what follow-up is needed. We hope that all committees can adopt something like this going forward so that situations like the one you're dealing with tonight can be avoided. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. It's a little past 6:30, and we'll get into our public hearings at this time. And we'll skip down to item M under public hearings, and I'll recognize our Planning Director, Doug DeMasi. I think we have 2 public hearings on our schedule tonight. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and you are correct. We do have 2 public hearings tonight. The first is by Pastor Aaron Minnick for the River of Life Church located at 8200 Safari Way. It's currently zoned light industrial. They are asking for institutional zoning. The size of the property is about 57 acres in size. We had a meeting with Pastor Minnick a little earlier this year as a way of a little bit of history. The River Church received special exception approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals back in July of 2018. A site plan for the proposed church building was approved by the Planning Commission at their October 22nd, 2018 meeting. A revised site plan showing the location of the temporary meeting tent and office trailer structures, which they currently utilize, was approved by the Planning Commission back in November of 2020, which is where they've been operating since that time. I mentioned the meeting we had a little earlier this year back in May. The pastor stated that they are in the process of opening a K through 12 school. We did explain to them at that time that the light industrial zone does not allow community education uses, which is what that school would have been classified as, and recommended they do rezone the property to institutional, which is what led to the application you have before you today. The applicant has submitted a concept plan that's been included with your agenda packets. The plan does show 3 proposed portable school buildings located just to the west of the existing temporary tent facility. All of the access, landscaping, everything like that, they're just going to utilize what's already existing as far as parking is concerned, landscaping and all that. We've been working with the applicants as far as helping them to move their plans forward. I will state under the Planning Commission and staff recommendations section of your staff report, there were a couple items there that staff had some concerns about regarding the temporary tent being utilized for occupancy since September of 2021. They did have a structural engineering report at that time. They needed to renew that, get a new one, which they have done. We also realized while we were meeting with the pastor back in May of this year that there were some portable office trailers on the property that were there but were not approved for that use. Those have also been removed, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that those items had been resolved. During the Planning Commission's public hearing, there were some questions about the number of students that would occupy the school buildings. It was about 40 students with a maximum of 60 to 70. There were also some questions about when a permanent church building would be constructed. The pastor said he hoped in 2025. During the public hearing, there was one person that did ask about floodplain issues on the property. It was explained by staff that there are portions of this property that are impacted by the 100-year floodplain. However, the location of the temporary structures was not part of that. Portions of their permanent church building are within that, but their site plan does show compensating cut for those areas consistent with our regulations. Following that discussion, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Mr. DeMasi? No further questions for Mr. DeMasi. We'll get into our public hearing. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 24-016 for the River of Life Church. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner Romel McMurray.
Mr. Chairman, I have spoken to Mr. Minnick several times, so I make the motion to approve this request to go from rezoning to light industrial to institutional.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. DeMasi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our final public hearing tonight is a rezoning request by Clinton Carter. This is located along Midland Fosterville Road. Existing zoning's residential low density RL, and they're asking for a planned unit development for explosives storage. Size of the site is approximately 71 acres. They're looking to zone about 9 to 10 acres of that for this particular use. The site is actually proposed to be a relocation of the existing explosive storage site located off of Shelbyville Pike, about 2 miles to the northeast of the subject property as the crow flies. According to information in the applicant's pattern book, which has been included on your iPads as a separate attachment, the development will consist of a 1,200 square foot single-story portable office building and associated gravel parking area, bulk storage area, magazines, trailer magazines, and a gravel truck turnaround area. There will be no development signage along Midland Fosterville Road. They're also proposing a chain link fence around the secure area of this PUD. This proposed area to relocate is due to the site meeting the requirements of ATF, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They do have some intentions of using the existing structures on the property. Of course, if they do that, they would need to make sure that those structures are up to existing building and fire code. When we originally met with the applicant, they were looking at the possibility of heavy industrial zoning. We did tell them we felt more comfortable with the planned development approach, so that's why this application came before you today. Again, I will call your attention to the concept plan that is in the pattern book, which is located on your iPads as well. It shows the areas to be cleared as well as the structure locations. Originally, they had a less clear version in the pattern book, so it's been replaced with one that was much easier to read. They will continue to access Midland Fosterville Road. They are proposing to enlarge the driveway to accommodate the vehicles into and out of the property. They have also provided a site triangle analysis in your pattern book. Of course, they would have to do an engineered site plan should this application be approved, and we would make sure that that was part of that as well. Open spaces are not typically required for non-residential plan developments. Type 3 buffers are typically required between industrial zone and residentially zoned properties, which this would qualify as. This use would only be allowed in heavy industrial, so we did ask them to do a type 3 buffer for this project. This site, as you can see from the aerial photos, is pretty heavily treed. They're only proposing to clear the areas that they are proposing to use. There is an adjacent property owner to the north that uses adjacent property owner that uses the northern adjacent fields for cattle grazing, have requested a vegetative buffer not be placed on the northwestern part of the property line to help accommodate that use. During the Planning Commission meeting on this, they had several questions about the regulations for these uses. Staff explained that all local and federal regulations would have to be followed. Separation and distance requirements were also discussed. The applicant did come forward at that meeting to explain what happens if someone were to build a house or other kind of structure within that required distance. He stated the distance is measured to structures and not property lines, and it also affects how much material they can store on the property. He also explained that it was for storage only. There's no manufacturing of explosives or mixing of the materials on the property, and he further explained the reasons for relocating the facility along Shelbyville Pike. Our fire marshal was in attendance at the Planning Commission meeting and spoke about the regulations that would have to be followed. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission did recommend approval again by a unanimous vote. And once again, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. DeMasi?
Question.
Commissioner Hope Oliver.
Explosives will be stored here, and what are the guidelines that the fire marshal is saying need to be adhered to? And I guess what type of explosives as well?
Well, as far as the actual materials, it's the materials that go into actually making the explosives, by themselves, and I'm speaking a little out of turn here, by themselves, they won't, but they have to be mixed, but they're not mixed on the property, they're mixed actually where they're going to be. These are very heavily regulated by the ATF, and our fire marshal, again, this is an existing facility that's just a couple miles up the road, a relocation. I said that they've never had any issues with them, that they do follow all the regulations.
Other questions? Seeing none, we'll be ready for our public hearing. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 24-018 for Clinton Carter. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner Jonathan Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've looked over this application. I want to say the applicant was very thorough and did a lot of the legwork before he even approached planning to make sure that the neighbors were aware of what was going on. I honestly wish all of our applicants followed their lead on this. They led by great example, but I'd like to make a motion to approve with staff comments.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of the motion to approve rezoning request REZ 24-018 for Clinton Carter, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. DeMasi. Good. Get back to our agenda items. We're on item J, elections and confirmations. Call on our steering vice chair, Commissioner Pettis-Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elections and confirmations. Item 1, commissioners' listings of notaries may be found on your iPads. Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the elections of these individuals as Rutherford County notaries.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Item 2, steering would like to announce one planning commission member vacancy due to the retirement of member David Jones. This is a 4-year term and a mayor appointment. Item 3, steering would like to also announce one public building authority vacancy due to retiring member Paul Cripps. This will also be a mayor appointment and term expires January 2026. Item 4, we also wish to announce one more public building authority vacancy due to retiring member Grady Payne. This will also be a mayor appointment and the term expires January 2030. Item 5, we wish to confirm the appointment of Elijah Strain as Judicial Commissioner. This is a 4-year term. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion to approve a Judicial Commissioner, Mr. Strange. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Item 6, we wish to confirm the appointment of Charlotte P. to the Planning Commission. This is a 4-year term from August 2024 to August 28. This is a mayor appointment. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second for the reappointment of Charlotte P. to the Planning Commission. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Item 7, steering would like to confirm the reappointment of Claire Maxwell and Dr. Michael McDonald to the Juvenile Board of Commissioners. This is a 2-year term from August 2024 to August 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Ms. Maxwell and Mr. McDonald to the Juvenile Detention Board. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the business of elections and confirmations from the steering committee. I turn the floor over back to you for further elections and announcements.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Item 8, tentatively election of our chairman pro tem. Floor is open for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, which one? I nominate Trey Gooch.
Second.
Trey Gooch. Is there any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion for nominations to cease and Mr. Gooch be elected by acclamation. And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the election of chair, and the chair will vacate the chair.
Thank you, Chairman and colleagues. At this time, we are charged to tentatively elect a chairman for the commission. At this time, I will take nominations for this process.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Jeff Phillips.
And Mr. Anthony Johnson is nominating Commissioner Chairman Jeff Phillips. Have a second. At this time, I'll ask for a nomination to Commissioner Piercy to cease nominations and to elect Chairman Phillips by acclamation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chairman?
Thank you, Commissioners. There'll be a confirmation of this election at our September meeting. I also announce the election of our commission chaplain at our September meeting. And of course, you all know that Romel McMurray is our current commission chaplain. Item 11, the election of our steering committee. And at this time, the way we normally do this, the way we are going to do it, did I make a wrong name or something? Did I? I didn't? Okay. Item 11, once again, election of our steering committee. And what we will do, we'll take nominations for our steering committee. And at this time, the floor is open for nominations. Madam Clerk, you're going to be making those lists. Okay, very good. Commissioner Piercy.
I'd like to nominate Craig Harris back to the steering committee.
Craig Harris has been nominated. Commissioner Reed.
I wish to nominate Commissioner Alan McAdoo.
Alan McAdoo has been nominated. Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Commissioner Pettis Reed.
Pettis Reed has been nominated. Commissioner McAdoo. Commissioner Paul Johnson has been nominated. Commissioner Cush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to nominate Mr. Jonathan Beverly to continue his steering chairman position.
Commissioner Beverly has been nominated.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Harris. I'm sorry, and Commissioner Rather.
Commissioner Rather has been nominated. Other nominations?
That's 6.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Michael Cush to the steering committee.
Commissioner Cush has been nominated. Other nominations? Seeing no one, this is the 7 current members that are on our planning commission, and I'll entertain a motion to elect these 7 by acclamation.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to elect these 7 members by acclamation. Lisa, would you read their names?
Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Rather, Commissioner Beverly, Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Cush, and Commissioner Paul Johnson.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. This particular time, we need for the newly elected steering committee to gather and to elect a chairman and a vice chairman and actually pass out the documentation for committee assignments. So if you guys would gather here at the well and conduct your business.
Congratulations, gentlemen. At this time, we'll take nominations for our chairman.
I nominate Mr. Harris.
We have Chairman Harris nominated. Anyone else? Motion accepted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Okay, at this time, I will take nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Reed.
Got Commissioner Reed. Anyone else? All right, we move to cease nominate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations, Chairman. Okay, at this time, we're going to have these sheets. Please fill them out. And what I also want, if you are wanting to change committees, please on the comments explain as to why you'd like to, if you don't mind. That's all.
You would fill out those requests and get them to Chairman Harris by the end of this committee. And Chairman Harris, you will send out the invitation for a meeting to conduct business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We will announce the committees on our next meeting, which will be September 8th, I think. Yeah, September 9th. So that's when we'll announce the committees.
Thank you. Item K, resolution to approve our consent agenda. I'll call on our Chairman Pro Tem, Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have reviewed the consent agenda, find everything to be appropriate. No requests have been to remove anything. Motion to approve as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda. Any questions or comments or requests to remove an item? Seeing none, for this will be on the board. If you would, please cast your vote for the consent agenda.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. No unfinished business as listed. Item N, report by our standing committees. N1, Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee, Chairman Robert P.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening. We have one resolution, budget item A, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. From the county mayor's budget, increased expenditures of other contracted service $60,000 and a decrease in unassigned fund balance of $60,000. This is to provide security services for the human resources and risk management departments over at the old hospital. Resolved this 15th day of August 2024. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Johnson, questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, for this will be on the board. If you would, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the budget's business this evening. I will mention that our next meeting, scheduled meeting, is September the 5th at 5:30. You're all welcome to come.
Thank you, Chairman P. Item N2, Public Safety Committee, Chairman Pettis Reed.
Mr. Chairman, we have no report, but our next meeting will be Monday, August 26th at 5:30 here in this room.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. Item N3, Education and Health Committee, Chairman Phil Dodd.
Thank you, Chairman. No report. Our next meeting is Tuesday, August 27th, 5:30 p.m. in these chambers.
Thank you, Chairman Dodd. Item N4, Property Management Committee, Chairman Alan McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no report tonight. Our next meeting is August the 29th at 5:30. We do have a tentative tour scheduled for 3:30, and we will be meeting in front of the new judicial building to tour that area. So anyone that wants to join us, I welcome you to join us. I would like to commend the PBA board for meeting with property management and meeting with the contractors. We met and we resolved a situation which saved the county over $174,000. So I'd like to commend PBA for participating with their expertise. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo. Item N5, Public Works and Planning Committee, Chairman Anthony Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight I bring before you the results of a previous meeting that we had. It was Tuesday, August 13th, purchasing, well, let me back up, August 6th, Public Works, and then we sent on to purchasing for them to do a look at the transfer station waste management contract. We discussed that. During discussion, we realized that some issues were brought forward and a few problems that we had in the process. So at this time, we rejected the contract and decided to rebid. That's the bottom line. That's what we did. So that's why I'm up here tonight. And I would refer or yield to our county attorney to further explain.
Yeah, happy to. The chairman pretty much said most of the detail. The RFP process did not involve the purchasing committee reviewing the bids and deciding to make an award. And as a result of that, the decision was made to rebid the loading, hauling, and transportation bid, or RFP. And that's what was done. If you have any questions, refer back to the meeting that occurred on Tuesday.
Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cush.
Thank you. I sit on the Public Works Committee, and I also attended the Purchasing Committee last week, where this particular incident was brought back to Purchasing Committee. I have 40 years plus experience in contracting, contracts, quoting, addendas, negotiations, things like this contract, RFP. I'm very familiar with this process. The purchasing committee decided to rebid the project, and I asked them not to do that. The vote was 4-2 with one abstention. I will tell you in my history that there are 3 things bad that can come from a rebidding process. And before I tell you what those 3 things are, I will remind you that there are really only 2 companies in Middle Tennessee that have the capabilities and the equipment and a place to take our trash, and 1 elected not to bid and 1 bid. So there's really only 2 players in this industry. That being said, the 3 things bad that can happen is 1, they could come back with a higher price than they gave us the first time. 2, they could decide to no bid, and then where would we be? And 3, they could decide to file a lawsuit against us. Now, waste management in the last 4 years has supplied us, our request, with 4, this is number 4, RFPs. And each time we did not award anything other than this last time. So there's a thing in my industry called quote fatigue. And this is the fourth time they have given us numbers, and this last time they were actually awarded a project, but yet it was pulled. The contract that Public Works saw and that I saw, that Nick went thoroughly through, I don't really have a problem with the contract, and it is not Waste Management's fault that we are here tonight talking about this. They did everything right. Public Works has a little issue with some of the numbers that are outside of the contract from the mayor's office that we wanted to vet. So I just want you to know and realize, and I tried to express this and I didn't do a very good job at purchasing, but any of those three things that can go bad, if one of them goes bad, we're in trouble. So I would request, if I could, I know purchasing has the power and the last say because they are the purchasing committee. But before we send any letter out of cancellation to Waste Management, I would like for purchasing to revisit this one more time, and I'm going to make that a motion, and really stop and think about what would we gain, because I'm asking what good thing could come out of rebidding this? The number's not going to get lower. We would be right back. All we would do is be right back where we are 60 days down the road. Contract would come in to be opened at purchasing. It would come to Public Works for vetting. We would make a recommendation and go back to purchasing with a thumbs up, thumbs down. So it's the same thing. It's the same exercise. So I'm not sure what we would gain by postponing. So I'm trying to avoid a lawsuit. I'm trying to avoid somebody saying, hey, I'm tired of messing with you guys. I'm not going to bid at all. Then we got nobody to haul our trash. Or B, they said, this is our fourth time. You thought $65 last time? We're going to make it 75. They'd be the only bidder. So I'm bringing that expertise and that history to you to explain how the bidding process works. I know if they came in at 75, I know we don't have to take the bid, but then we still have nothing. If we reject what we have, we've got nothing. So thank you for letting me share my piece, but I would make a motion that purchasing revisit this, sit tight, and see if we cannot decide whether it is truly in our best interest to reject this contract. So that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to request our purchasing committee to revisit the waste management contract. Is that correct, Mr. Cush? Commissioner P.
I made the motion out of purchasing to send this back for a rebid. And you asked what we've got to gain. What we've got to gain is following state statutes, following state law. State law does not allow a mayor to make an extended contract without approval of the legislative body, period. You're breaking the law if you do something otherwise. We're also went against our own private act, our purchasing act, where it is a requirement that the purchasing committee approves any contract that we've got. So we're following our own rules. Now, to not follow these rules could cause us problems in the future, could cause questions. I didn't want to get up here and debate this tonight, but I think you're making a mistake by doing this. At that committee meeting you were in, and I understand where you're coming from. I don't like this. None of us like this, okay? But I was reluctant to say, yeah, we're kicking this contract out, because after this goes through the process correctly, and we see those numbers, I've never seen them. You know, I got a copy of them this afternoon, but we never saw what the bid was. Never came to our committee, and that's a requirement. You know, we've got to follow our rules, and that's why you should reject this request. And I understand that. I was reluctant to add rejecting this contract because the contract may be great, You know, I know you spent a lot of time, blood, and effort on that, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate your feelings on this, and I understand that. But Waste Management is a good company. I think there's somebody we could work with, and I think that if we go down the right track, we may be right back at the table, and this contract that's out there now may be something that we can live with and work with. But it's got to go through the correct procedures. And if I'm not mistaken, I just skimmed through this because I got it this afternoon, part of the contract that they wrote or they signed in our RFP states in there clearly that it has to be approved by our legislative body or it's void. So I don't think there's little to no chance of us being sued over this. Two, why would they want to sue us? They want our business. We want to work with them possibly. So it's just a matter of us following state law and our own regulations.
Thank you, Commissioner P. Commissioner McAdoo, and then Commissioner McMurray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your discussion, you brought up that this is the 4th time. What did we do the last 3 times? Can you answer that? Never awarded anything, just went on and...
This last RFP was the only time we ever took it to the finish line and actually awarded a contract. The previous 3 started in actually the year 2020 when I was on the Public Works Committee, where we sent out a lot of requests for RFPs, and they sent in proposals, and we never acted on any of them. We just kept going down the road looking for better technologies. So they went through the practice with us 3 other times, and we never awarded to anybody.
So
does that make sense?
To a certain degree.
Okay.
So why wasn't this procedure brought up that we had to go through purchase and do all this the first 3 times? You never did discuss the Yeah, I understand you never picked one, but why didn't you bring up the procedure to follow to do it? That's what I'm asking, because yeah, right.
I can help you out there, Mike, if you'll allow me. What Mike's referring to when the other 3 occasions is where we have looked at all the other options there are to look at for our trash, our recycling, everything. No decision was ever made on any of the other companies to do anything. It was just for information mainly. You know, there was no funding. They were never approved. You know, we never made a decision to hire anyone. At this point, as far as I know, our decision making is still wide open on that part. But I feel like that's why.
Commissioner McMurray.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners, I have a brief statement I want to read. I've just been thinking about it over the past weekend, but when I ran for office 2 years ago, I ran on accountability, honesty, and transparency, and it's the same thing I teach my 6-year-old. Our constituents expect us to ensure that there is transparency and accountability within our government. They expect us to ensure that every financial decision is vetted and is in the best interest of our taxpayers. I feel like this process that went through was plainly not transparent and it allowed for zero accountability from this body. I feel like that this wasn't minor. This was a contract that not only has a long-term commitment, but a contract that would require money from other revenue sources if certain metrics were not met once the transfer station went into operation. The proper process was known, in my opinion. The proper process was known. While I can't know the motivations, ignorance cannot be claimed. I'm glad we're restarting the process, it seems like, but this is good for our constituents. I've had many calls about it. However, I am disappointed in the message that this sends to the people who want to do business with Rutherford County. We need to make it abundantly clear that we do not want to do business in this way, but when the private act lays out the process, and as it is ignored, we have to step in and advocate for the transparency, again, transparency when conceding taxpayer dollars. I do believe that the steering committee should look into this potential ways to make it clear that this was not right and bring something back to the commission for us to look at. I think we need to do this for our constituents and people who want to do business within the county. Thank you.
Other comments?
Chairman
Other
Phillips.
questions? Commissioner Piercy?
I'm full-hearted behind what Mike has asked. Just reason I second his motion. We've got years of work into this. I talked with Waste Management long before they ever were considered to even bid on this project. They gave me some numbers. I brought them to the committee. Mr. Harris, me and him went back and forth about they were too low. No, it wouldn't work. The numbers that they put in their contract were very close, a little higher because of the loading fee that had been agreed to, though that was in the contract to agree to. This is very, very important to Rutherford County. You know, I've seen stuff kind of ease around one committee, go to another committee in a hurry-up situation where we didn't have time. So, you know, you really can't blame it all on transparency. Now, don't get me wrong, everything that I've seen done was told, but there has been a committee or two sidestepped in my 10 years because there wasn't time to get it to the committee before a contract deadline was up or time run out in some other way. There were only two people, like Mr. Cush said, that bid on this. One was Waste Management, one was a smaller company. There's not but one other company that could possibly bid on this contract, and that's Republic Services. What we're doing with our transfer station right now is trying to delete Public Services. I can't see us letting this bid that Waste Management has put out escape us. If there's any way to send it back around through the proper channels before they're notified that we're not entertaining their bid, I feel like that's what needs to be done. If we lose their interest, we've lost the north end of Rutherford County, because that's basically where all our trash will wind up eventually, is in the Republic landfill. There's no one else to take it. It's not like painting a house. You don't put out an RFP and get 12 people. Yeah, I want to paint your house. Boys, there's not that many people in the business. They're just not. They're small haulers, but to haul our trash away, it's going to take a huge company, and there's really two. That's Waste Management and Republic. If we give in and my scenario unfolds, Republic comes by and says, hey, we'll run your transfer station for you. We won't have to build one since you don't have nobody to haul your trash. We'll run it and operate it. And then the next thing they're going to want is the V between the two landfills. Gentlemen, don't let that happen. We'll become a mega cell landfill on the north side of the county. The area is already laid out. There's two farms right beside Republic's property that's already been raped from soil. It'd be a better place for a landfill. Go in and level it, put a liner in it, take off. The next farm above it is about a 240-acre farm of pure dirt. It would run a landfill for many, many years. Now, I asked you, and that farm actually goes in around to the river also, and there's some more trash on our drinking water if this should unfold. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But you need to see the big picture. Mr. Cush and myself sat on this committee 10 years. We've looked at it all. We've seen everything. I know Mr. Harris don't like me to talk about this because he's heard me say it many times, but there's people on this floor that has not heard me say it. I asked you to help us save this bid to save the north end of the county. You know, Tuesday night, Public Works, tempers flared. A lot of stuff's probably said that maybe shouldn't have been said. I had a question. It really, once I thought about it, it didn't pertain to the contract. It pertained to the finance, what do they call it, Nick? The business plan of the deal. Well, I hadn't seen it, so I asked anyway. But it really didn't pertain to the contract. The mayor's office, keep it good, has made a mistake. They've acknowledged it, and I think we need to move forward with trying to save this bid if there's any way possible. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Commissioner Piercy. Anyone else? Commissioner Rather.
Well, since the landfill we're neighbors as far as districts, all the people without fault, please stand up. My point is this. I don't know how many times that I have tried to go somewhere, I turned on the wrong road. Okay? Honest mistake, my stupidity or ignorance or my maps are off, whatever. And what do you do when you go down the wrong road? You turn around and go back to where you should have gone a little further down the road and turn. In my mind, my simple mind, it had nothing to do with transparency or dishonesty. It was a wrong turn was made. So what do? We back up, and in light of Commissioner Cush's statements, the position we're in, we just have to apologize. We turned down the wrong road. We're back on the right road, and let's move forward.
Commissioner Harris.
All right. First of all, I trust Mike. I disagree with Piercy probably 60% of the time, but he's a smart man. I respect him. Y'all are getting misrepresented here, and you're getting off the subject of why we're here. We are here because the mayor does not want to do what our private act says he's supposed to do. Now people say, oh, he forgot, we should feel sorry for him. Well, there's an email out there that comes from Nick Christensen telling him exactly how to do this, and he replies, it's perfectly clear. All this could be discussed in Public Works. If you've heard out here today, they said, we have listened to 3 different things we never awarded. They said we, which means Public Works. Now, Public Works is very, very important. We have to have not only their expertise, but we also, as commissioners, do not watch every meeting. We can read the minutes and all that, but if you're not there, you ain't gonna get it. Now, what am I saying this for? Okay, what I'm saying is, those 7 members, we trust them. When it comes to property management, I trust Commissioner McAdoo, Chairman McAdoo. I get my information from him. Y'all ask the tough questions, and we go by what y'all say. Now, the problem I have is Public Works was completely wiped out. Didn't go to them. So what I'm upset about is this mayor has done this 3 times. And I know everybody said, Craig Harris, you hate the mayor hates me. Yes. But here's the fact. You have a private act. It specifically says, go through purchasing, award the bid through purchasing, go through Public Works, then come to us. Read the RFP. Section 2.5 says the county commission must approve this. Now, Commissioner Ramel is talking about transparency. I have sat here and I have been accused of being passionate, and it's sometimes nasty. It's true. It's true. But we cannot bypass the committees. We would not even be discussing this contract if it went through the right procedures. If it went through Public Works purchasing, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. So it's not to blame the county commission. It's to blame the mayor. You have to follow the rules. You have to do what the committees say. We have to do what the committees say. That is the entire embodiment of this legislative group. We have checks and balances. We have checks and balances, and this is how we do it. And now we're in this ridiculous pickle because somebody don't want to follow the rules. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take that I forgot or this, because I have emails showing the absolute different. So I will, as chairman of steering, whether I can do anything or not, I don't even know. I'll get with the county attorney, and we will address this matter as to what we need to do to not have this again. I believe that if we as commissioners go by the Private Act, which is what we do, I've been around 7 years, I've seen y'all, I know exactly. We have to follow procedure, Mr. Chairman, and we have got to stop running around different committees. So I do not agree with Mr. Piercy on this as far as this contract and I'm not going to feel bad because this contract's null and void, because it ain't the commissioner's fault. It is the mayor's fault. Or we wouldn't even be in this situation. So yes, Commissioner Rommel, I will look into see what we can do, and I will also listen to any commissioner that brings this to my attention.
Other questions or comments? I'm sorry, Commissioner McAdoo.
Well, I wasn't going to get up, but I myself personally do not like lawsuits. It was several that we didn't follow, and several we sent through the proper procedure, lawsuits that cost me over $4 million. I hadn't forgot it. Maybe you have. I think highly of the constituent dollar. I try to watch it, whether we go the right path, wrong path, up, down, whatever. We need to look at what we've done in the past and let it be a lesson that when you mention lawsuit, you are talking high dollar. And I just want the commissioners that was here doing all the time, we were getting all these lawsuits, to remember this.
James.
I'm curious, and more of a point of inquiry, can we not separate the two issues? Can we not continue on discussing, it makes it a 30-day or a 60-day delay on the contract, and we actually go through our process, separate the issue of not originally going through with the mayor's office and take them into two different paths? Figure out how to fix that problem, but still maintain our forward trajectory with this contract, although a 30 or 60-day delay. Because I can tell you from the people out there, they don't care about our policies. They don't know anything about Private Act when we say it in here. They've not read it. They don't know anything about it. It's up to us to inform them as best we can. And you saw right now, you know, every election cycle, there's smaller and smaller turnout. So they're not really as informed on that regardless. So they don't care that policy wasn't followed. They care whether or not their trash will be taken or not. They care whether we have the contract is even going to be ratified and looked through. So with a 30 or 60-day delay, which is what I believe Commissioner Cush is asking for, to keep this open in conversation, it does nothing but help the residents of this county. Meanwhile, we can separate the issue of bypassing the committee and bypassing our procedures on our own.
Commissioner Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. The point I would like to make is that we know that there were quite a few mistakes made over the last couple of weeks with this, and fix these mistakes, we don't have to rebid. We can fix the mistakes without rebidding. Send it back to, as the motion suggests, just send it back to purchasing, forward it to other committees, works to vet it, possibly the budget to look at the numbers, but to rebid after Waste Management in good faith made their proposals, and I think the contract and their proposals went on for what, 6 months or more, 3 months. And so again, my point is we don't have to rebid. Fix the wrongs. Fix the wrongs by going back through the committee process. And I think that's what this motion does, and I would have to support this motion.
Chairman Johnson, do you have a comment?
What's been said by one of our commissioners, and I partially agree. If you make a wrong turn, you do go back and find the right way, and that's the way you go. That's what I see us doing. That's what we're proposing to do. It was done wrong. We're going to go down the right track now, get back on track. Also said by another commissioner, our constituents don't care about our policies. You better believe they do. I'm sorry, Commissioner, but they do. They care if we follow protocol. They care if we follow our rules and regulations to a T. That's what we're elected to do. There's no way the constituents don't care about our procedures. That's what runs this county. That's what runs any city, any country. Well, at least our country, most of the time. But I urge you to get back on the right track, as suggested, maybe in a different way, but to get back on the right track. And I respect you for what you said. And I partially agree. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have one.
One.
Very quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Piercy.
When you cast your vote on this item tonight, cast your vote for the good of Rutherford County, not because you don't like the mayor or you don't like how something went. We have the responsibility to take care of this entire county. And I asked you to vote the way you think will support the entire county in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, quick questions. What is, for Nick, what is the legal status of the contract? Is the contract, does it have a provision, for example, that says it's subject to the approval of the legislative body, which would make it hanging out there until the legislative body signed off or not? And is there a time limit on that?
In the interest of the county, in not jeopardizing any potential defense that we may need, it is probably not appropriate for me to answer that question at this time.
You can't answer the question whether there's a provision that says it's subject to or not. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm happy to go into executive session and we can sit down together, me and you.
Is this public knowledge? Has the contract been put on a website anywhere? Has the financials model been put on a website anywhere? Talk about transparency. So far, of what I'm gathering by the blank stares, that it's not on a website. There's no financial model on a website. Is there any financial information other than what's been said in the committees available to us? I haven't seen it. I looked briefly. I couldn't find it this Saturday, but that doesn't mean sometimes I'm website challenged, candidly. But there's like no transparency here, folks, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. So I need to know what the legal status is. If it takes going into an executive session, because we apparently don't know, or you won't tell us, whether there's a subject to provision that should be in every dang contract we do that says subject to the approval of the legislative body. I'm not following why that's not an easy answer.
Mr. Commissioner, if you would like to go into executive session, all you have to do is request it. So if you'd like to do that, I'm happy to go through the contract with this legislative body and we can discuss the provisions therein.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion or whatever is appropriate to go into legislative session for a or whatever, executive session for a brief moment to figure out the answer to a couple of really basic questions that I'm not understanding why it's not on a website somewhere.
Let me make sure that your motion is appropriate because we already have a motion on the floor.
My apologies.
It's okay.
I've just been informed that the contract has been on the purchasing committee SharePoint for the meeting. At least that's what Mr. Smith has said. So it has been out there since at least Tuesday.
Okay, so I couldn't find it, but it's not on this meeting's, even though we're supposed to be talking about it and trying to figure out whether or not we're going to do it. Is there financial information? I'll look at the purchasing committee's website. Yeah. Is there any financial information
Commissioner,
out there?
If I may, I have to look at the holistic picture, not just the provisions of this contract. That is a piece of it. But there are a lot of moving parts to the legalities and the possible defenses that we may face of a lawsuit either from Waste Management or others. And some of the answers to your questions, while they're very important questions, they may hurt the county or they may help the county. But I don't think it's appropriate to divulge defense strategy by giving answers to those questions in a public setting.
With respect, that's a really basic provision.
And as a lawyer, you would know that sometimes it comes down to a simple period at the end of the sentence.
And we're being asked to approve it.
I'm happy to go into executive session.
Okay, I'm not, whatever the appropriate procedure is.
It can vote on the motion to go into executive session. Yeah, I think you can do that.
You guys, this is a first for me, and I've been up here probably longer than anybody except Commissioner McAdoo, but I've just been told that the executive session motion could be voted on before the other motion, and that was properly seconded, could be voted on. Let me see if there's a second to the motion to go to executive session. Okay, now discussion. Commissioner P.
I've been here a little while, and here's what I want to say, and just kind of answer some of your questions, Commissioner Irving. If our attorney answers some of these questions, a couple things could happen. One, he could be deposed in a lawsuit, and he would be not able to represent us. So it's in our best interest, you know, if we got to have these questions answered. I don't really want to go into executive session, but if you want those questions answered, they need to be asked in that form, not out here and debated in the open.
I'm not sure how appropriate this is, but just a comment. The reason that the contract is not on the agenda tonight because the contract was rejected at purchasing, so there's nothing to put on the agenda. There was not anything. There was an explanation as to what happened in purchasing, and that ended the conversation other than this particular topic that we're talking about. So the reason that the contract was not on the agenda or made available to you because there was nothing to consider. It did not come out of purchasing. It was rejected. And let me just go ahead and say that the motion that Commissioner Cush made is a request. Purchasing committee does not have to honor that request. And that's the reason he made it as a request. So if this commission wants, if us as commissioners want to ask the purchasing committee to reconsider, that's appropriate. But it's also appropriate for the purchasing committee to say, no, we've made our decision. It doesn't have to come before this commission. And I hope I said that right, Nick.
That's correct.
Okay.
If I may, the private act, the Private Purchasing Act, this commission, by passing that and the state legislature passing it, making it a special law here in the county, vests purchasing power with the purchasing committee. So you have delegated the purchasing responsibility when it comes to RFPs and bids to the purchasing committee. That's why what you do tonight, you can't overturn what they've done, but you can request that they look at it again. And they don't have to take up that request, theoretically, or they can.
Okay, other comments on the motion to go into executive session? Did we do that? Other questions on the motion and the second to go into executive session? If not, we have a motion, a proper motion and a second to go into executive session. So without any other questions or comments, we'll vote on that motion right now, and I'll ask you to put, we'll be on the board for this. So if you would, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
15 yes, 6 no.
The motion passes. At this time, the courtroom will be cleared with the exception of our county attorney. Can I ask Michael to stay? And I'll ask our finance director, Michael Smith, to stay, but everyone else will need to exit. We'll also take a 2-3 minute break in case anybody needs it before we come back into executive session. I'd like to call the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners back in session. We have been in executive session that's privileged information between our attorney and us as his client. So those discussions were legal in nature and will not be addressed in a public forum. So where we are now is back with the original motion made by Commissioner Cush to ask the purchasing committee to reconsider the RFP that was denied this past Tuesday. I believe that's where we are. Okay, so that's where we are, and we're still open for discussion on that motion. I'm sorry. You have the floor.
That's not my back. I just had a concern. I think we have 4 purchasing committee members here, counting myself. I'd just like to, if it's appropriate, I'd like to know if any of us have changed our mind that were that voted that down.
And they're not in the meeting.
Sort of a moot point. If we're not going to change our mind, it's going to stand as is.
Commissioner Johnson, that in my mind is an inappropriate request and needs to be discussed at purchasing.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Oliver.
No problem. Hearty discussion, lots of great points. I concur with my colleague, Commissioner McMurray, that something needs to be done relative to the mayor not following protocol. Some type of rebuke, reprimand, although Cush did a great job the other night. But Mayor Carr is our elected official, whether we voted for him or not. He's our mayor. And he has to follow certain protocols. I'm a citizen, and there are expectations that I have as a citizen of my mayor. It behooves me how he doesn't even attend these meetings. But nonetheless, I concur with Commissioner McMurray in his request that Chairman Harris and steering look at this issue and offer some type of reprieve or rebuke.
Once again, other comments? We have a proper motion and a second to request our purchasing committee to reconsider. It'll be up to them whether or not it is reconsidered. Okay? Everybody kind of clear where we are now? This is a vote that we will be on the board for. So if you would, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
For the vote.
13 yes, 8 no.
Motion passes. Nick, would you care to explain how we approach the purchasing committee? Would it be through the chairman of the purchasing committee?
Yes, which is the mayor. And so this body, whether it's you, Mr. Chairman, possibly communicate the action that was just taken here to communicate it to the mayor's office about the request.
Consider it done. And I think the next scheduled purchasing committee meeting is on the 27th. Let me look at my calendar here to make sure. I believe that is the same night as Health and Ed. It's on my calendar for 4:30 on the 27th, and Health and Ed is scheduled to meet at 5:30 that night. I think the reason for that special called meeting was to consider bids, and I don't remember what particular item it was for. But anyway, the next scheduled meeting is on the 27th.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if that's correct. I think that meeting was as needed, so it's not a regular schedule meeting. And it may, I'm trying to remember what Carla told me the other night, that the meeting is in September. This one on the 27th was just on the as needed, so it may not be set in stone that we're meeting at that time, unless the mayor calls for it, I think.
The purchasing committee meeting on the 27th is on my calendar, and whatever the gentleman's name was that was opening the bids that were taken under consideration said that the 27th would give him plenty of time to do that. Okay. So I'm not 100% sure that we'll have that meeting, but it is on my calendar. Okay? Yes. Yep. Commissioner Johnson, anything else?
Hopefully we're finishing up. I had it written down here. Yes. Our next Public Works meeting will be September the 3rd. So, and like I said previously, it would behoove all of you that have questions to watch our last Public Works meeting and the last purchasing meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Item N6, Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee, Chairman Craig Harris.
right, Commissioners, we are discussing a resolution to levy a county school facilities tax, privilege tax pursuant to the County Powers Relief Act. Do I have to read this over there? All right, I can dispense reading this whole thing. I can tell you what it is that we are voting on the new law that was passed where we would have $1.50 per square foot for new homes, $1.50 per square foot on commercial. This law was passed, and we are here to ratify this. It passed through steering 6-1, and we need to ratify this. We need 2/3 in 2 consecutive meetings. And I am behind this. I believe that this is what we need to do. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you want me to read this resolution, I'll also do that too. It's pretty lengthy though. If you want me to, I will. Absolutely. I'll just do two paragraphs. Whereas the County Powers Relief Act, TCA 674-2901, provides authority for the counties to qualify under the act to levy a county school facilities privilege tax on new development as defined in the act. Whereas Rutherford County previously levied a county school facilities privilege tax under the act at a rate of $1 per square foot on the development of residential property. Whereas the General Assembly recently made certain amendments to the act, including authority of counties to levy $1.50 per square foot on residential property and a rate not to exceed $1.50 per square foot up to 150,000 square feet on commercial property, to be calculated in accordance with the provisions of the County Powers Relief Act. Whereas Rutherford County desires to levy a tax on the development of residential property at the rate of $1.50 per square foot and to levy a tax on the development of commercial property at the rate of $1.50 per square foot up to 150,000 square feet. Whereas the resolution requires passage by a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the county legislative body at 2 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Rutherford County find that Rutherford County is in need of an additional source of revenue to offset the demands upon the public school system caused by the population growth experienced by Rutherford County and to help fund capital expenditures for the public school system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Rutherford County, Tennessee, that a school facilities tax be levied in accordance with the following provisions and in accordance with the state law as codified in Tennessee Code annotated Title 67, Chapter 4, Part 29. All right, that gives you everything you need to know right there. So, Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second, and we are open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner James.
I just want to urge caution on the one provision. I know it's going to increase some revenue, give us much needed revenue sources. It's a good thing we've got from it, but I'm concerned about the growth requirement to maintain and keep the 20% from census to census or the 9% over a 4-year period. I'm just afraid that we're going to find ourselves at a point to where we're chasing the growth and otherwise approving projects that we might not have in order to maintain this extra 50 cents.
That's an excellent point, and that was discussed at steering the other night. I'd like Nick to give the legal opinion of that. This law replaces what was law, and that growth provision is in there whether we adopt it or not. Correct?
I understand. It's not a question. It was just to urge a point of caution moving forward to make sure we have our wits about us moving forward, that we're not chasing the population to maintain.
Can I answer that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, first of all, if we don't meet the growth requirements, it goes back to where we are right now. There is nothing for us there's nothing that's going to hurt us or do anything like that. And also, there's other options too. We could have a special census, and we could do things like that if that was, a situation. I mean, that's, far-fetched. But no matter what happens, if we don't make the growth factor, we do not get punished at all where we're at right now. This thing will bring in close to $6 to $7 million. Now, the things that everybody don't like about this is because people are having now, they can pay on the back end instead of the front end. It don't matter what we do here. That's going to happen no matter what. That's law. So if that's, one of the things that gets everybody upset, there's nothing we can do about that. So why would we leave $7 million on the table that we badly need? So does that answer your question? Or do you want something else?
No, it wasn't a question. It was just urgent caution because, like you said, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just concerned that we'll find ourselves in the future chasing the growth and approving projects we wouldn't normally approve because we're trying to keep that level up.
I understand.
Those growth requirements are 20% between census, in essence, 20% over a 10-year period of time, or 9% over any 4 consecutive years. So that's your point. Other questions or comments? Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to take a second and show gratitude and appreciation. We have been chasing revenue sources since the day I took office. And I just want to remind this body that through work of several individuals here, Hunter McDonald, the incoming president for the Middle Tennessee Association Realtors, is here, as well as Ashley Sugar, our chief executive officer, to show support. A lot of people worked for several months to get to some agreement in order to give this county revenue relief. The alternative would be no help. So I just want to show gratitude for those that put in a lot of work to try to reach some negotiation point to give us revenue that's much needed. And we have a long way to go. So publicly, I just want to say thank you to those at the state delegation, the local home builders, all of the state agencies, and everyone that worked for several months to come together for us to get this revenue increase. And as Chairman Dodd mentioned 1 or 2 months ago, this is bucket 1. Our state delegation wants to help us with revenue sources, and they said one source would be this. And this industry has taken a self-imposed tax in order to help. Our next steps are to look at other things. I think Will Denami spoke about that recently at the last steering meeting, that we're looking at other buckets, so we're adding up to what we're looking for. The number of 30 to 35 million bucks has been thrown out there of what we're looking for to be able to fund the future. We're well on our way to that with this first bucket. This commissioner is very appreciative for the hard work and effort to get us started. And I look forward to more collaboration to get us that next bucket as soon as possible.
Well stated, and I concur. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Once again, for this, we will be on the board, so if you would, please cast your vote.
IT, we have a problem. Please show up. Get it?
Just wait.
Paul Johnson.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
Yes, 1 no.
Motion passes. Chairman Harris.
All right, next on the resolution. This resolution allows our chairman of the commission to sign this levy. So whereas the County Powers Relief Act, TCA, provides authority for counties that qualify under the Act to levy a county school facilities privilege tax on development as defined in the Act. Whereas the Act requires that prior to adopting a resolution levying this tax, the governing body files a statement with the Comptroller of the Treasury that provides the population growth for the county that qualifies the county to levy the tax such that the Comptroller can verify the same. Whereas the Comptroller created a county privilege tax verification form, a copy of which is attached in Exhibit A, for counties to submit to the Comptroller to assist counties in complying with the Act. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that Chairman Jeff Phillips be authorized to complete the form attached to Exhibit A. As such, form be sent to the Comptroller of the Treasury. Resolved this 15th day of August. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Motion and a second. Discussion. And for this, we'll also be on the board. If you would, please cast your vote. Who seconded that? Anthony Johnson. You're welcome.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Chairman Harris. September the 9th.
All right, our next meeting for steering will be September 9th. September 9th. And I'm only one I don't have right now is 4 and 10 districts for the committees.
Make sure all of them are turned in by the end of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, that brings us actually to the end of our agenda and to the point of other business. Is there other business someone would like to consider? Thank you. Commissioner Rather.
Well, as I said it earlier, Commissioner Piercy and I are in kind of neighboring districts. And I say that because of the acknowledgement and proclamation or something with Walter Hill School. I've been in Walter Hill School my life, never went there, and I looked up on the walls at all the oval pictures and saw my aunts and uncles hanging on that wall before I was born, going to school there. So Walter Hill's kind of, I guess, a home school. Also, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Butch Campbell, principal of that school for decades and decades, and put his heart and soul and everything else into it. The next thing, crap. Hold on.
We're holding.
Hold on.
Time's up.
Apparently my phone don't read my face anymore. Butch and Janie Campbell lost their son, Rich, who I went to school with, hung out with, him and his brother both, Chris. My understanding is Rich had a really bad accident, flipped his truck several times, and passed away, last I heard, this last Saturday morning or whatever. But his funeral, visitation is at 11 at Jennings and Ayers this coming Saturday. So just pray for that family. Rich was a lifelong educator. in the school system. I think he worked in the Murfreesboro schools. And he was a lifelong educator, like his dad and his sister. Anyway, Rich catered to special needs children and gifted children, which is it was a calling on Rich's life, a God-given calling for him to affect those children the way he did. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, share with you the funeral arrangements, and Butch Campbell's contribution to the school system, especially Walter Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. We have gone beyond other business into shout-outs, it appears. Any other shout-outs?
I just wanted to announce that I'll be having a community meeting for the 4th District, August 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Kittrell Elementary School.
Thank you, Commissioner P. Any other shout-outs? Just a statement, I don't know how this sounds to you guys, but I'm in awe and tremendous appreciation for the debate and the discussion that went on tonight. The county wins by having that discussion, and I appreciate it. Whether or not you voted for Commissioner Cush's motion, the discussion and the executive session cleared the air for a lot of us on the problem that we've had for the last couple of weeks. And this commissioner appreciates your input and us being able to discuss that in a manner that I think benefits not only the commission, but the public in general, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anything else? Once again, thank you for your attendance, your patience, your time. With that, we are adjourned. Our next meeting, by the way, is September the 12th. We are adjourned.